I'll call the meeting to order.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
President Seeger.
Here.
Trustee Alexander. Here. Trustee Johnson.
Here.
Trustee Nugent. Here. Trustee Renucci.
Here.
Trustee Smalley.
Here.
Trustee Wisniewski.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, citizen participation per Village Resolution 2017-01. Anyone wishing to address the village board during citizen participation will be allowed 5 minutes. Your subject can be anything, whether on the agenda or not. The village board should not engage in a discussion regarding comments because it was not part of a publicly noticed agenda. Upon conclusion of this citizen participation segment, members of the audience are not allowed further comment unless they are participating in a public hearing or specifically allowed by a majority vote of the village board due to involvement in an agenda item. With that being said, would anybody like to speak during citizen participation?
All right, Joshua DeMeo, Deputy Chief of the Village of East Troy Police Department. I just wanted to take a minute here to thank each and every one of you for investing in me. On Friday, I graduated from Northwestern School of Staffing Command. Was a 10-week course. Wasn't easy. A lot of academic, a lot of papers, but I got through it, thankfully. Eileen was there, Chief was there with me. Just want to, again, thank you. It meant a lot for me. Me built my comfort level as a second in command for Chief here. Gave me a lot of tools on my belt to offer the troops that serve the village of East Troy every day and a better teammate for Jeremy. So I just want to thank you guys so much for investing that money in me.
Congratulations. Very excited for you. All right, would anybody else like to speak during citizen participation? One more time, would anybody like to speak during citizen participation? If no, then we'll close citizen participation, move on to consent agenda. One motion and a second will approve all the following items. Any item may be pulled from the list and voted on separately.
I would move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to miscellaneous business. Consider recommendation from Community Development Authority for facade grant awards for Roger Trader, 2114 Church Street for $20,000, and Steve Lambert. Do I have to do these separately?
You don't necessarily have to do them
Okay.
separately unless you want to pull them separate because there's specific questions.
And then for Steve Lambert at 2931 Union Street for $20,000.
I'll make a motion to approve the CDA's recommendation for the 2023 facade grant awards for Roger Trader and Steve Lambricks.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, consider intergovernmental agreement for crack filling machine. Any questions for Jason's memo?
I'll make a motion to approve the IGA.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I was going to ask Jason, roughly on this crack filling machine, it's kind of like the one you used to rent or whatever, that the hot tar where you go around and fill the cracks, blow them out and stuff? And do you foresee then that it's going to work out fairly decently then with the three municipalities as opposed to the brine truck?
That was a little different. Everybody needed that at the same time. We can do it as long as the temperatures are above freezing. We can do it throughout the year, so plenty of flexibility.
I understand. Thank you.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider letter of intent to purchase DPW patrol truck. Any questions about this?
So again, here we're looking to procure a build slot for 2026 for this truck. Things have changed drastically in the equipment world as far as how you purchase equipment. Pricing's gone way up. I'd love to sit here and tell you that I think it may recede a little bit by 2026, but I wouldn't want to lie to you.
You're so funny. I'll recommend approval of the letter of intent to secure build slot 2026 for a patrol truck for $269,86.
I will second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, consider carbon reduction program grant for street light upgrades. Any questions about this memo?
So we just take this from fund balance?
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure you guys support it, because if we're awarded the money and We Energies has the capacity this year, this project could get done this year. So we would obviously have to pay out all the funds and then be reimbursed the 80%.
Sorry, Jason, on this, where would this be done again?
So-
And basically asking a question for people listening that don't know.
Sure. So this is this will be the final phase
Just
of
really
this.
quick, just so you know, everybody that's out in the audience also has the opportunity to take a look at these packets. They have them via electronic file as well. So they all will know that this is part of that street program and the entire list that Jason did point out with each street program. This is also something that we've already been talking about doing and have been doing so far in the village, right?
Yeah, we're currently doing phase 2. And what I'm proposing here, if we're awarded grant money, would be the third and final phase of all our street lighting to be upgraded to LEDs.
Oh, I like that we're looking for things like this, so I'll make a motion to approve applying for the CRP to cover 80% of the final phase.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to ordinances and resolution. Proposed amendment of the village comprehensive plan by changing the land use clarification of a part of tax parcel RXUP 00202, Kiwanis Heritage, Inc., applicant, application 2023-03. And I will open the public hearing for that right now.
This one? Okay. I wasn't really here for this. I was here for the CDA grant, which I greatly appreciate. The village does that for businesses. My question is, on this Kiwanis Harris property, I happen to be on the school board, and I'm wondering how they can propose to have land classification changed when they don't own it, nor is there a contract on it or anything. So that's just my only question is, just seems a little odd that they would try to rezone something they don't own, or if it's not zoning, a land use classification.
That's a great question. I'm glad you're here too, Steve. It does pose an issue. The applicant filled out the proper paperwork for this. This went through our planner already.
Scott, if I might, I do know that, Mary, correct me if I'm wrong, but when the Kiwanis Heritage was first proposed by the Kiwanis and it was being built, it was going to be proposed to be all one building with this proposed addition at the same time. But then they decided at that juncture to hold off building that part of the building. All I'm doing is giving you a little background.
But I think that Steve's question is a legitimate concern.
I'm not saying it's not pertinent. I'm just saying so everybody knows what happened in the beginning, because most people weren't here.
Can I just clarify, Steve, did you say it's under contract or it's not? I think we need to table it. Hold the public hearing open till the next meeting. We'll get clarification on that.
I'll make a motion to table this item.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
Holding the public hearing open till the next meeting.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, the public hearing will be held open until our next meeting on the 17th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Moving on, grant funding resolutions. Resolution 2023-02, Transportation Alternatives Program, application TAP for multi-use path extension, County Highway G to, through Highway 120 area. Going to be the first one. Any questions?
Can we make one motion for all three resolutions? I will
Yes.
make a motion to approve resolutions 2023-02, 2023-03, and 2023-04.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 2023-05, adopting natural hazards mitigation plan. Any questions about this? Chief? You okay with this?
Yes, I am. I actually sat on the committee for this. This is something that they have to update every 5 years. There are a couple things that we updated for the village. I did have a question, I don't know if anybody looked closely, but the appendix, they were missing some schools for the village and some other things, and I reached out when they sent this last week, and I said, is this going to be an issue? And they said no. What they're mostly looking at is the plan. And as long as it's adopted, then if anything would happen here in the village and grant money was available or funds were available, we need to be part of this, so.
I don't have a question about
I'll
it, but
open the
I,
public hearing for this, I'm sorry. I forgot to do that. If anybody would like to speak on this item, please do at this time. No. Go ahead.
okay. So I don't have a question about it. I do have a concern. The process that they're using doesn't seem to make sense to me in a way. As I look at these documents and I see goals and objectives, wow, doesn't that sound like strategic planning, pardon me? But I don't see that these actions or strategies, the detail items underneath, they're not tied directly to those individual objectives. And I find it a little disappointing that they're not, because I'd like to know what is specifically being done for instance, I'll just pull the next one up as soon as I get to it, prevent injuries and death from tornadoes. What are the specific action items that are pertaining to that objective? I can't find that in this document. So I wish the county would do a better job in laying out this information. Maybe it's there and I'm missing it, but I don't know.
Jeremy, can you speak on that?
I see what you're saying. This is, actually, Tim Schwecke is the one, he was the consultant on this for us, for Walworth County. So, yeah, he'd be the one to ask, but.
Yeah, but is this the full plan, or is this just the framework for it?
This is like the framework.
Right, and then they'll develop the full entire plan as they go along
Right,
through
but
it.
if you have objectives, sorry, I'm just saying if they have action items, they should tie to an objective, and you can't see that here, so I don't know what's going to be done for preventing injuries and death from tornadoes. I can't find it, so I just think the format needs to be looked at, frankly.
Yeah, like if I go down, I guess I'm on middle of page 8, continue cooling center policy, 2022 status, ongoing effort, staff time, high, Village of East Troy. Is that high for our staff? High for the county? Like, I don't know, like, what am I committing to? And it says 2023 to 2027 and 2028 to 2032.
Yeah, I get that too. That's another good point. So granted, this isn't at a high level of detail, but by the same token, there are things here, there's questions about the organization of this plan, I think. So maybe we should talk with Mr. Schwecky about how it's organized.
Could he attend either one of our meetings, or should Walworth County Emergency Management? I know we've had the sheriff's office attend and explain like the radio program, because as I look at this, like, so John's probably thinking the same thing. Like, I see LIO is included from the county, which they run the county's IT systems. There's nothing in here that I really see about maintaining IT systems in a natural disaster. So we have a tornado and there's no computer systems. It's kind of hard to dispatch people.
But to Jeremy's point, this is just an overview. Not that we're trying to pass things vaguely. I don't want to do that by any means. But yes, maybe if we get somebody here from the county, get the detailed description of this whole process in hand, and maybe table this one as well until our next meeting. And maybe get somebody representation, be it Tim Schwecky or anybody that was on that team, including Jeremy, to talk to us a little more about those points.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to it, especially if it's a framework and there's more detail. It's just, if it's rising to the level of resolution, I'd like to have a little bit more understanding. I mean, resolution and a public hearing, I'd like to have a little bit more behind it. So I'll make a motion to table it and
I'll
keep the
second
public
that.
hearing open until then.
Any other discussion?
I would like to ask a couple things. That one of them, I'm kind of concerned that it looks to me like we're just basically ceding control and everything, the responsibility to Walworth County. And I would like to maybe see the village try to take the onus of its own responsibility in some regards for emergency management, because we're the ones that are here. And the way I'm looking at it, and the way we've thought about it in the past, that if a tornado, God forbid, a tornado does come through and it goes through the center of the village of East Troy, it isn't going to be like the Wizard of Oz where it just hits us. There's going to be a path, maybe from Lake Geneva or wherever. I don't know. But Walworth County is going to be very, very busy taking care of other communities besides East Troy. And I thought it would make sense for us to at least try to be prepared as a community for emergency management, not to overview, not to overstep Walworth County, but to be able to handle our own problems until such time as Walworth County can come in and assist. And we've done that in the past. Mary, as a matter of fact, Mary, I think, was our public information officer at one time, correct? And Mickey Anderson and I had gone for a 3-day seminar for emergency management through Walworth County. And we don't have that anymore. And not to put the onus on Jason, but the DPW would be overworked if we had a problem like that, because there's only so many people. And if there's a big disaster, Doug lives in Burlington. He may not be able to get here. You know, who knows? I'm just saying, I think it would make sense for us to try to look at a little bit of us trying to take care of ourselves somehow. That's all.
I think we will be taking care of a lot of it, but I think having Walworth County and Lieutenant Rowland as a source for us is very important.
I agree, but I think we still
He's
need
got-
training.
He's got contacts that I don't, and he's going to be able to help us out a lot. So I think, and we're not, there's a lot of other communities in Walworth County that are relying on his expertise. And, I mean, he was just certified as, emergency management, I don't even know what the title is, but he went to a lot of school. I mean, that's more than, he's been doing it for 2 years, and it took him 2 years to get the certification. That's not, I mean, that is his job.
Well,
And
that's
he
where-
does it for Walworth County.
That was our instructor that taught us. He had probably the same situation that this gentleman's in.
But he didn't go to a 3-day training.
No,
He's
no,
been
we
going.
went- We went to a 3-day training.
Right.
That was taught by this person, probably that you're speaking the same kind of training. This Kim, Mary, I can't remember the guy's last name, but he had a seminar for the entire state that we went to for, it was 3 or 4 days. But he had the training to teach these people.
So we've got this tabled for now, maybe at the next meeting. Is there any way for you, Jeremy, to contact Lieutenant Rowland and see if he can attend and answer some of these questions?
Yeah, I can try.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Moving on to reports. Emergency services from February 7th. Any questions?
Are we having a problem with billings?
We always have problems with billings.
It just seemed like that the agency was mentioned more than normal in the report.
Yeah, we've talked about looking at options versus what we're currently using. So that's a discussion that's ongoing at this point.
Any other questions? If no, moving on to airport from February 13th. How about any questions about the CDA meeting from November 28th? Any questions for Jason on his report? If no, then I'll make a motion to move into closed session, adjourn to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 1985 1E for the purpose of conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. TID Development.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
President Seeger?
Yes.
Trustee Alexander?
Yes.
Trustee Nugent? Yes. Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Renucci?
Yes.
Trustee Smalley? Yes. Trustee Wisniewski?